Every day we're potentially exposed to hazards in the workplace. Some might be more obvious than others, but in many cases we're oblivious to them. We're just too busy focusing on one detail rather than the bigger picture. Hi, I'm Grainne Moore, HSEQ Manager at Kapitol Group, and each week during the Safety Month of October, I'll be catching up with key consultants and subcontractors to seek their thoughts on key safety considerations on site. Today we've got Elliott from Elliott Safety here to talk about hazard identification. In your experience, Kit, would you say the industry is good at identifying hazards?
I think generally, Grainne, that the industry has robust processes in place to identify hazards. I think we can always improve. It's difficult on a site where you've got lots and lots of visual clutter and you might have 5 or 6 high-risk activities being undertaken at the same time. So it's hard to know where to focus, and we often have blinkers on and become a little bit complacent and miss the small things, which are often the most important things to keep an eye out for.
What are some of the common hazards overlooked on a site?
Management of falling objects, so stacking of materials above the height of the kickboards, classic. The next one would be installation of handrails for fall protection, not being installed as per the manufacturer's specifications, which is a must. The third one would be loose components on scaffolds, which would blow off in the wind potentially. And the last one is, I think we can all do a little bit better on mobile plant and people separation.
Is there a particular stage on a job that is more prone to hazards than any other stage?
I think depending on the complexity of the design, I think once the formwork is coming up and you've got precast panels, you've got concrete pours, you've got form workers, you might have a little bit of excavation going at the same time. When you've got your maximum numbers on site, that's when it's going to be much more complex and difficult to manage.
What can we do to prevent these?
Oh, there are lots of things you can do. So your processes for hazard ID and safety walks, but it's also important to make sure that people are trained to identify hazards. And I guess that's one really good thing that Kapitol Group have done. They've engaged Elliott Safety to run a series of hazard ID training sessions across all of their site teams. And I think that that's a really proactive measure.
What can we do to prevent these from happening?
We can implement a robust hazard identification process. So lots of construction sites, and I know Kapitol Group have a really good process in place where safety walks, external audits by somebody like ourselves, bringing in other team members from other projects because they have a fresh set of eyes and they can give you a fresh look at what's going on site, because we can all become a little bit complacent.
Do you think it's important for communication and collaboration with the workforce?
Communication and consultation with the workforce is very important, Grainne. It's important that the workers get the feedback from safety walks and from hazard ID inspections. It's really important to communicate what's found on site and important to communicate what the head contractor has done to close out those issues, and so that the workforce can learn from that and make sure it doesn't happen again.